Yes, hello, and as always, happy Monday to you. Happy Monday to you. Should I sing? I used to sing karaoke days, right? Remember those days? It's been a while. It's not the same singing here. It's still doing this thing. Believe me, and as long as I've been doing it, it's still quiet. Like right now, it's quiet, except for my email notifications. So let's close that. And let's go up to the comments. Look at it. They don't wait at all, and it's catching on. Danny Cachamilio says, happy Monday. Hello, Danny. Are you at home or are you selling cars today, Danny? Thanks for being here. Of course, 73s to my friend Carl Freeman down in Oshawa. For those of you who don't know, when I say hello to Carl and I say 73s, that's an old radio. We're radio hobbyists, and beyond CB radio, we're amateur radio operators, and 73s is a way of saying hello, good day to you, that sort of thing. So code, if you will. So thanks for being here, Carl. Carl, hope things are good your way. And Danny, you're working today. Selling lots of cars. Anybody in buying cars today? Danny works for a local Nissan dealership. And this would be different times for selling cars. I'm assuming by appointment only, etc. Right? So go see my friend Danny. I wonder how's everybody doing? You know, that's a whole new. It has a whole new meaning to it now, right? You know, if I say how you doing, it's actually means something completely different. And are you, what are you doing to keep yourself busy? Because we're staying at home, right? Are you staying at home? I mean, of course, you still got to go to work. Jennifer is still working. She works in the dental field. So it's interesting for her to be at work, masks and all the precautions and everything. Of course, I'm really fortunate because here I am. I'm at work. Here's my studio. And I teach part-time at the college. And here's my office and some other stuff that I do as well, and do some private live streaming for events, not really events, not public events, but private things, and of course all protocols in place for that. And funerals, believe it or not, is something that I live stream. Never thought I'd see that day, but you know, it is what it is. So a few here and there. Well, that's good. You got to keep the bucks rolling in. Good afternoon to my friend Barry as well. Barry, I've been out with the camera again. Well, not out, but I was last week. I kind of stepped out of the vehicle under the bridge for a minute, and I hadn't taken my Blue Water Bridge photos with my new camera yet. And I thought, every photographer takes pictures of the Blue Water Bridge. It never gets old to look at, right? I posted those pictures earlier, and I said, the Blue Water Bridge never gets old to look at. And somebody else posted, yeah, kind of like you. And I was like, are you saying I'm old? I guess. Carl says, great show with Bear Renders. Well, if you don't know who Bear Renders is, Rick Papa Bear Renders from Heavy Rescue 401. He's a driver for Ross's Towing down London Way. He's been driving for them for 30 plus years. And I had my Q&A with Colin Vanden Heuvel, also a star of Heavy Rescue 401 and from Preferred Towing, that we do monthly. And Papa Bear was one of our guests. So it was scheduled to be a 1 hour live broadcast, and we ended up doing a 2 hour live broadcast. It was so much fun. We hit 9 o'clock-ish, and then we hit 8 o'clock-ish, sorry. And they were like, yeah, let's keep going. Bear was on call. He hadn't gotten a call, and Colin was, anyway, it was good fun. We had great conversation. If you haven't seen it, you can head on over to the Show with David Burrows page and see it there. It's also on Preferred Towing's Facebook page and Colin V Heavy Rescue page as well. So we had we had a lot of fun. Glad you enjoyed that as well. Did you catch The Ontario government, or Premier Ontario, earlier today was making some announcements. The Ontario government is moving the vaccination of residents in long-term care and high-risk retirement, First Nations elder care homes. They had originally had a target date of February the 15th. They're now moving that up to February the 5th. So that is something that, well, I guess it's taken a lot of discussion as to where does it go first, right? And there's a lot of different opinions out there. There's a lot of different debate going on, but it's got to start somewhere. So at least I think it's comforting to know that we at least have the vaccine coming our way. Now, where it's coming to Sarnia, there is some news about that. You can check that on local listings, local news sites. Or like I always say, just go to lambtonpublichealth.ca to get all the information. And you can go to sarnia.ca as well. They've got a page there for specifically about local restrictions and guidelines. Also, the Lambton County, if you want to see meetings that they're talking about the vaccine and it coming to Sarnia, where it should go, etc. And there was recently a special meeting held with Lambton County Council and talked about where the vaccine would be going. Dr. Ronaday was on there as well, our local medical officer. So that's the best way to keep yourself updated, etc. And of course, as I always say, social distancing is still a must. You got to do the social distancing if you have to go out. Premier Ford a while back when they put out the lockdown. Here's the thing. That was December 26th. It's January 25th. I don't know about you, but it's like gone by like this so far. I appreciate we've been doing this for almost a year now, but think about it. It's really going by quickly, I think. I don't know. I guess we're all in different situations. I'm fortunate if I didn't have this studio and stuff to do. Although I will say our house is getting a lot cleaner. There's always something to do. Oh, there's Jesse. I'm glad you said hello. I was starting to wonder where you were. I was like, if Jesse doesn't show up. Gas is at 99.3. Boy, and I just filled up yesterday. It was what, 102? I should have waited. Oh, well. Jesse's still my gas buddy. Michelle Iris says, hi. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Wherever you're watching from, please let me know in the comments as well. So we do have quite a wide audience from all over the planet. Obviously, we talk mostly about what's happening here in Sarnia Lambton. I will give you a bit of an inside info, though. I am looking at adding another show where I'll be talking to people from all over the planet. I'll still do this weekly show, but looking at adding something else. And I've talked about this before. I talked about doing a late night show, whatever. There's only 24 hours in a day. I've got other stuff I got to do too. I would love to do a talk show 24 hours a day if I could, but we'll see. We'll get there. But I'm looking at doing more of an entertainment show coming up in just a little bit. And we're going to have some entertainment discussion coming up here in just a few minutes with my first guest. Michelle says, I'm great. I'm in Enniskillen. Okay, very good. Enniskillen Township. Very good. Thanks for being here as well. So there's the numbers on the screen. We'll give you kind of a larger view if you want. Confirmed 1,782 in Lambton County. 35 deaths. Outbreak has gone down to 8. Last week when we talked here, it was about 15 or 18, I think, at that point. So that's good that the outbreaks are going down. I think sometimes, I think what happened last time too was, and this is just my opinion, we went into lockdown, and then when they released things, loosened the reins a little bit, I guess, I think we all got kind of a little too relaxed, maybe. And then that's where we saw the numbers kind of jumping back up. And every area is different, of course. There's some areas where it's not really happening at all, and they're still in lockdown. But it's repetitive, I know, but we've all just got to keep doing our part to get through all of this. And as always, like I said, Lambton Public Health is where these numbers are coming from. So I think we're going to get there eventually, right? And I think it is as simple as going out. If you have to, that's the essential part of it, right? What is essential? Lots of debates out there. I think the Premier did a good job saying, if you have to think about it, you probably don't need to go, right? You got to go to work. You got to get food. You got to get some exercise. Other than that, I guess you got to stay home. Netflix stocks. Buy Netflix stocks again. If you want to. I didn't tell you to do that. Every time I say something, sometimes I'm reminded of, I don't know how old all of my audience is. Do you remember WKRP in Cincinnati? WKRP in Cincinnati. They were in reruns when I watched it as a kid. That's how long ago that was. Dr. Johnny Fever told everybody to do something, and then they did it, and he got in trouble. So I'm not telling you to go buy stocks in Netflix, but it might be worth looking into. Okay, I'm not the expert there. Steve McLaughlin, how are you, Stephen? Listening in from Petrolia, appreciate that. Hey, there's my very good friend Ryan Worsler. Hope you're having a good day, sir. Appreciate that as well. And just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody before I get on there. Don't like leaving anybody out. But I do hope you're all doing very well. And, we got to take care of ourselves and take care of each other, right? This might be the time, too, to reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a while. There's that certain amount of time that goes by. You're like, I haven't talked to that person in a while. Would it be weird if I said hello to them now? Has it been too long? Reach out to them anyway. Everybody needs a good hello once in a while, especially in these times right now. And one of the things we also really do need is music. And my first guest is going to join us and talk about that. Matt Parker from the band called KAAJE. Thanks for joining me here, Matt.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, it's good to have you back. The last time we talked, some local event was happening, and then things were in the works, and I was like, keep in touch. And then all of a sudden you reached out, and here we are. How's the music world been since not being able to get out and play?
Well, it's been interesting. Like you said, last time we talked, we were prepping for Sad Fest with Chris and Beer Store Money and all them. And then, a couple months later, next thing we know, we're in lockdown. It's been interesting. A lot of recording at home, a lot of emails, a lot of file names with like part 1, part 2, part 100 of sending back and forth and demoing stuff. And especially for myself being a drummer, it's a little more on the interesting side of how do you recreate that when you have roommates or an apartment above you, whatever, right? So just finding different solutions, and it's interesting. It's
a lot of different adapting. The word unprecedented and adapting has been another big word that we hear a lot about. And it would be challenging because I know in the beginning of all this, some people didn't realize that they couldn't go live and be in sync.
Yeah.
They didn't understand that delay, right?
But now they're starting to figure it out. And then you've got other businesses that are like, hey, we've got the time. Now let's figure out how we can get this perfect for people. And now they're capitalizing on it, right? With live shows, distance shows. Yeah. So it's very interesting.
Let's talk about that with the band KAAJE. You guys have got you got a couple of singles out right now. Yeah. And you're looking at something else coming out. But what about online streaming shows? Have you guys done any of that or planning any of that?
So, yeah, of course. We have an album coming out February 5th. It's called Things We Least Desire. So we're very excited about that. We've got a couple different singles out now on Spotify, Bandcamp, the places. But prior to this, when everything was kind of, like you mentioned earlier, a little bit more on the loose, the restrictions were a little bit on the down low, and that we played a 4-song like live stream thing that we set up, and that got us to be able to put some music out there and play live for some people so they could hear us. And then currently right now we're in the works of trying to put together a socially distanced live show where it's actually live versus just a posted videos of us playing. But actually live full set of the album once it comes out in February if the restrictions allow us. So we're just trying to be as safe as possible and continue to...
so not a live audience, but you guys will play live.
We'll play live. This will be like an actual live stream. There's going to be like 3 cameras. They mentioned a drummer cam, so I was happy. But we'll see what happens. So that's in the works. Obviously, it's interesting right now what they're allowing people to do, what they're not allowed to do, and what we're comfortable doing because we want everyone to be safe, right? That's key. So
Yeah, well, safety is always the factor, but everybody has different ideas on what is, there's a lot of different opinions out there about what works, what doesn't work, what we shouldn't have to, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you really have to show your viewers, your fans as well, that you care about what's happening out there, and we want to still deliver to you. But I think most people are understanding of that. Are the fans missing KAAJE in front of the face though?
I would like to think they are. And you know what? I've had multiple people reach out to myself and the band members saying, they want to hear stuff and they want a live show. So instead of, laying low, we spent our time, put together an album, worked around the restrictions that we could, did it as safe as possible, recorded where we could with as few people around as possible to, just kind of, if there were one-on-one sessions, they were. We did whatever we could to make it as simple as possible, but also still work hard through quarantine rather than, sitting stagnant. We wanted to come out of quarantine with a full album. And although we're not out of quarantine yet, we definitely have a full album. So, that's what we did. We just wanted to work really, really hard and continue driving because we didn't want to lose any motivation. So,
yeah. Would you say that maybe the pandemic forced you to be extra creative as a musician?
I would 100% say that it forced us to be extra creative. It forced us to learn some stuff that we may have not already known, different recording techniques, different ways of writing. One of the songs on the album is completely written over the internet. We sat down, we talked about it on Zoom meetings. We passed, I programmed drums, sent it to them. Then they recorded with what they had at their house. And one of my bandmates got in trouble for singing. His neighbor came over and he was in an apartment, starts knocking, being like, "Cut that racket down!" And we were obviously got a good laugh about that. But it forced us to learn how to record, and these were just for the demos. But it forced us to learn how to record and get our ideas across to be able to work without being in the same room, which was very cool and very creative. And I'm very happy with what we've been able to accomplish. So.
The guy knocking on the door, it kind of reminds me of the old Twisted Sister video, right? What are you going to do with your life? Turn that racket down.
Exactly.
We're going to make a career here, buddy. Go home.
Exactly. And that was it. He was just like, all right. Sorry.
Send that guy a copy of the album when it comes out. Say, thanks for putting up with us.
Already on its way.
There you go, right? Make a new best friend any chance you get.
That's what we got to do.
That's right. What about I guess the whole adapting part to it is a big part of this as well, like we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. But leading into the musical creativity side, did the pandemic influence the writing of this album? Did it have anything to do with that, or was this already on track for something else?
There were a lot of songs that were already on track. If anything, some of the songs only became more current and more, kind of really having us stand behind them more so. We sing and write about multiple things, a lot of serious topics, i.e. like climate change, politics, all over the globe, from things like, being sad and not knowing what to do, which is something that I know, let's not get bummed out here, but it is something that people experience. A lot of people not working, not knowing where to turn, how to rely on yourself, but also, just topics that have all come full circle this year when it comes to, American politics. Again, like I mentioned, global warming, climate change. That was one that we definitely have written about. It's what one of our singles are about. And we, if anything, it's only come full circle, and then really just kind of prove that, even in a pandemic, obviously those things are still there, and you still gotta, as much as you have to shut down, not everything shuts down, and you have to kind of keep going. And, if anything, they just became more current and more powerful for us to want to write about and want people to hear and want to put out there. So
right now, so you're a 3-piece band, or is this got everybody in there?
We are a three-piece band. So the gentleman in the striped with the guitar, that's Jeffrey Fleming. He's a guitarist. He plays fiddle and violin and sings. And then off to the side is Tyler Cook. He plays bass. He also sings as well and is a primary songwriter along with Jeff. And then myself there on the drums. And I don't sing, but I'll bash some cymbals and make a lot of noise. So
you're just happy you got a camera on you.
I'm always happy when I've got a camera on me.
They got the drummer's getting some attention. The drummer doesn't get that much attention, right?
Yeah, we don't. But unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a glory hog. So
oh, there you go.
A little
bit.
It's
usually a fight between the drummer and the bass player, isn't it? Who's wanting more attention?
Well, yeah, because the singer's not worried. He's got the attention. The singer gets worried. It's the who's going to come last. We're fighting for the caboose here, Who
gets to order the pizza? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. Who's driving that night?
Right. Is there a reason why you guys? Let's go back to the beginning of KAAJE getting started. Was there a reason why you chose to be a three-piece band? Like, why not a fourth or fifth?
You know what? It was thrown around. What do we do? When I was in Sarnia, I was in multiple bands, usually larger in size, 4 or 5 people. Yep. And it's sometimes a pain to get together, especially when you're all working. You all got careers. Because even when I was back in the day, we didn't really have careers. We worked at, we had maybe full-time jobs, but they weren't what we'd consider careers. We were just working to make ends meet. But since moving to Waterloo, I met these guys, and they're both Laurier graduates for music. And, we met, we got together, and we just vibed, and we didn't want to throw anything else in to kind of mess up that. And we just all worked together, and our schedules line up. And we didn't really want to throw any other kind of wrench in the mix to kind of to screw that up. And we're all just, really, really happy with the vibe that we've got and the overall creative that we all throw into there. So maybe one day we'll add another guitarist or, whatever, but not now. But we also do side projects where we work with friends that play other instruments.
Okay.
We were able to play a very safe show. Distanced over the pandemic, and it was just a cover show that we did, added on 2 members, and that's what we did. So that was about it.
And if 3 works, it works, right? I mean, it's obviously working for you. You've been able to lay the tracks down, and things we least desire. I've got to ask the question.
Yeah.
Why that title?
Well, we looked at the lyrics of what we wrote throughout all the songs. And like I say, we do tend to write a little bit more on the serious side and things that we're passionate about. And a lot of things we were writing about was, the terrible things happening in the world, sad things, i.e. being, depressed throughout the pandemic, or, some of the political strife that we've seen. Again, I'll mention climate change and that. And at the end of the day, all the things we were writing about were things that we wanted to change, things that we wanted to inspire change for. And so the things we were writing about are the things we least desire, meaning that if none of these things existed, we would be happy with it. So
very good. Great explanation. And I love this is the album cover we're taking a look at, right?
Yes, it is. That is the album cover. Very, very happy with that one.
Now, when we say album cover, I mean, in my day, it was an actual piece of vinyl cover. Like, where are we going to find all of this? Are you going to come out with an actual vinyl or a CD, or is it online? Tell people where they can find it.
Yeah, so we made the tough decision of not doing any physical copies right away, mostly because getting them out to people, people buy that stuff at shows. So we decided, we'll do a digital release. We're going to release everything on Bandcamp. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on YouTube, YouTube Music. It's also on Amazon Music. So any place that you want to find music, those are kind of the big ones. Yep. If you want to purchase it, it is on Bandcamp. But once we're able to get doing shows and once we're able to get out there, we are going to be doing a vinyl release.
Awesome.
And that's me pushing that because I'm a big vinyl guy. And so is Jeff and Tyler.
Sign me up for a copy of that.
I will personally mail one to you myself along with the shirt if you want. So no worries. And we have merch you can also buy online on Bandcamp as well. So
okay.
Yeah, it's Bandcamp KAAJE Band. So.
All right. Well, and of course you got the Facebook page there as well that people can go and reach out to you to get all that information and just have a look around for. I'm really excited to hear it. I haven't heard any of it, folks. So, but I know Matt's talents, and I'm sure he's selective about who he plays with as far as the music goes, and really excited for it. KAAJE is an independent DIY rock ensemble. What is a DIY rock ensemble? Like for me, it's always like it's rock and roll, or it's rap, or it's what's DIY rock?
So rock ensemble just meaning that we're three gentlemen that play good old fashioned rock and roll, and DIY meaning that it's just do it yourself. This is all us. It's us putting it together. It's us reaching out and getting things done. It's us doing the marketing. It's the three of us. There's really not anyone else involved. We did have a partner that has advised us quite a bit. His name is Matt Morganson. He was working with us and continues to aid us in things. But for the most part, it is us working together to get the contacts, buy the merch to be able to put out. Reach out to the production companies for the recording studios, getting the time, booking it ourselves. So there's no like secretary that we're hiding that's doing it for us. There's no label. It's all us self-funding ourselves. It's a local business. It's a privately owned local business. It's working hard to do something for someone.
And so, that kind of leads me to my next question. You're looking to make this careers for the three of you and turn this into, well, you said business. You're treating it like a business.
100%. It is. We're treating it like a business. We're treating it as seriously as one can. I love my job, and we all love our jobs. Jeff and Tyler both teach music, and we love what we do. But if we could, make our living playing music, that's the dream. And like every business that somebody starts independently, it's all built on a dream, and it's all you just trying to do what you love, taking your hobby and turning it in, and your passion, and turning it into something monetary and realistic. And that's what we're doing.
I love the attitude, or I should say the philosophy. The philosophy leads to the attitude, as far as I'm concerned. And you've got the right philosophies. You've decided to do something. And I like that. I have a saying, or I copied a saying a long time ago. If you treat it like a hobby, you'll make hobby money. Treat it like a business, then the limits are large, right? And
exactly.
Very, very happy and proud of you.
Thank you
guys for working hard at it. Keep going. I think you're on the right track, and I can't wait to hear things we least desire. I want to buy it just because of the title. I just think that's the coolest title going right now. So thanks so much, Matt.
No, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And again, we'll send you a copy once we got a vinyl. I'll send it to you personally, so don't worry.
100%. Matt, good to see you, my friend. Stay safe.
Thanks so much.
Matt Parker from the band KAAJE. So glad he reached out to me just last week and said, hey, you told me to keep in touch and follow up, and I'm so glad that he did. Sometimes you say that to folks, you're like, well, keep in touch, and then you don't hear from them. I'm so glad that he did. Now, the band is located down in Waterloo, but Matt is originally from Sarnia. And so it's nice to see the growth happening there. And I know he won't forget his roots in Sarnia. And hopefully when we can get out and enjoy live music again, maybe we can get him down to Sarnia to have them perform for us here. Thanks again, Matt. Appreciate that. All right. Well, let's go to somebody who I should have probably had on here a long time ago. And we're talking about the importance of literacy. And when we say that word literacy and what it means to you, or who might use those services, what are you thinking about right now? Hold on to that thought while I introduce my next guest, Tracy Pound from Literacy Lambton. Thanks for being here, Trace.
Thanks, David. Hey, and I just wanted to give a little nod to your last guest, to Matt. Laurier, it's a girl who did come home to Sarnia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right on, right on.
Good to see that they're doing great things with the Laurier music grads.
Yes, yes. Matt's, like I say, he's originally from Sarnia, but he's done some great things in the music world there. So it was nice to have him join me. Well, nice to finally have you here. It's been some time, and Literacy Lambton, and there is, you kind of heard the introduction there. We say literacy. What does that mean, and who does it mean? I guess we sort of talked, preparing for this interview earlier, and might be just a little surprised who might use all these services. But talk about Literacy Lambton, what they offer, and then we'll get into a little more about Literacy Day coming up.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm rather new to Literacy Lambton, so don't feel bad about not having me on earlier because I've only been with the organization since November. So yes, our full title is Organization for Literacy in Lambton. A lot of people short form us Literacy Lambton, which is totally fine. And so as far as what we do, our role is literacy and basic skills. And what that means is helping adults with reading and with math and basic computer help, things like absolutely everything from I have not a clue what to do with my computer and like taking people like, here is your mouse, and then, taking them right through to basic understanding of Microsoft Word, Excel, all those things that you need in the workplace these days. And we also, right now, one of the more popular programs we have going is it's called Shift into Drive. It's a G1 driver test, and we're doing it via Zoom because we can't see people in person at the moment. But it's working really, really well. And what happens with that is we actually go through the Ministry of Transportation manual, and we work right through start to finish and get you ready so that you can go in there like a champ and be successful.
That's great. See, now there's a perfect example of, I would have never thunk of that when you say literacy or Literacy Lambton, right? I'm thinking I'm going in to learn my ABCs and learn how to. You're laughing because this is common, right? What you're getting.
Yes.
And,
yes, very much.
One of the
very
reasons
much.
we got you here, we're trying to change that perception.
So one of the ways that I can explain it best too is whether it's getting a high school credit or whether it's help with some post-secondary, we can work you through whatever manual you have. It could be a workplace manual on safety. It could be the G1. It could be the GED. There's so many different things. So, if we could just kind of get a shift in people's thinking, it's not so much what you're reading, it's we're going to help you get through it and be successful.
Yeah. Now let's. What about? So we're talking about reading, but what about things like math as well? Is that something that you guys handle?
Yes, absolutely. We have a bank of amazing volunteers. That's the lifeblood of our organization. So we have some instructors, and we have lots of volunteers that help us out in the classroom. And to your example about math, we've had some clients that come in and they, maybe they have to do a retest to keep their trades up, and they don't know slope, right? I mean, do we all remember slope from high school math? But
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. I'm like,
this is how old I am. I remember bed mass. That's about.
Oh, and actually, I think it's something different. My kids, I'm like, oh man, I don't even know if it's bed mass. I think there's like another acronym now. But yes, right. We can help you work through that. And the beauty of it is some of our volunteers actually have that kind of skill. So if it's math for the trades, we can help work you through that. And actually, I got to tell you another thing, and this is in the works, but watch for it. We're going to be offering a money math session coming up, and I don't want to spoil too many of the details. It's something that needs to be done in our classroom because there's actually something that you're going to be working on that requires math, and it might sound an awful like a cash register. I know. Anyway, so I mean, you think about it. How many times have you gone out to different businesses and you just know that someone that's a cashier is just really struggling, to make the change? Right.
McDonald's gone in there. Well, and I use McDonald's. This was a long time ago, but I'm not sure that the person behind the counter knew the difference between 6 or a half a dozen. And I don't say that, like, I know that sounds funny, haha, I know, but or my wife Jennifer has, rounded up to the dollar and given more money than the amount in order to get an even number back. And they're like, "You're giving me too much money, ma'am." And she's like, "No." Right. And these are issues.
They are. They are. And it's a staggering statistic. Like 40, like, I mean, and it fluctuates, I guess, depending on the community, but like there is a staggering percentage of Canadians that struggle with literacy. And literacy is one of those things. It's not like riding a bike. You have to keep practicing it every day. So a lot of people that think, well, I've got my high school, I've got my OSSD. I don't really need any help. Well, you gotta just, you gotta keep those skills sharp. And one of the things that I always say is, and I firmly believe, we all have strengths. And, it doesn't matter if you're going back to school. I'm a big proponent of lifelong learning. It doesn't matter if you're going to go get your MBA or your PhD. It has no less value in taking charge and getting yourself some help to learn math or anything else to make your life better. The
word help is something, though, that, and I've had this conversation before, like, if you ask me for help, I'm happy to give you all kinds of help, but I maybe have a harder time asking for help. And I would think that maybe this is a struggle or an obstacle that some people are not, they don't want to admit that maybe I'm struggling with math, or like, I'm not kidding. Like, I still count like with my fingers. I've got, thank goodness there's a calculator on my phone, and that's just use it or lose it. I don't know. But so somebody like myself, I could come in there and use these services, and I wouldn't be afraid to do that. But I think some people would be embarrassed, maybe. Is that fair to say?
It is. And actually, it's strange because, we're stuck in the middle of this COVID business, and in every bad situation, there's always an opportunity. There's always innovation that comes out of it. And one of the things that our organization has done, there's that word pivot. We pivoted, and now we are able to, we have Microsoft Teams. We can work with our learners virtually. And we even work with some over the phone using things like Google Classroom, Google Forms, things that people are comfortable with. So that one thing has really helped our organization. And I think if people understood that they don't have to feel embarrassed, and if they don't feel comfortable coming into our classroom, then we can work with them virtually in the comfort of their own home. And so I think that uniquely gives us an advantage. So yay for COVID.
Well, I've often been quoted as saying, I don't call it COVID day, I call it someday. Someday showed up. We were kind of forced into a corner to learn this technology that honestly has been around a long time. People were like, I don't want to learn that thing. I don't want to use virtual, whatever. I want the face-to-face. But here we are, right? And one of the reasons we're here today is we want to create more awareness for Family Literacy Day that's happening on the 27th, right?
Yes, it is. It's every single year. It's always January 27th, always right in the middle of Canadian winter, Family Literacy Day.
I don't know if you can say winter yet. I'm looking out my window here. We've been pretty spoiled so far, I think, considering the time. But yes, since 1999, Family Literacy Day has been going on, and it's obviously had great success then. And some of the things, let's take a look here. Let's talk real quickly about some trivia that's happening as well.
Yeah, our family literacy coordinator, Rosemary Travis, she came up with this great little concept, this contest, and brought in the Toy Corner, local business, probably also struggling through COVID. And so the grand prize obviously is a family board game, Canadian trivia. And so every day, Rose has been putting up these really fun little questions. And so the idea is you go to our Facebook page, Literacy Lambton, and you'll see the daily question, and then you email in your response. I think a lot of people want to put it in the comments, but that's kind of cheating, and that kind of helps everybody.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you got to email in your response.
All right. Well, go to the Facebook page, folks, to find out more about that. And thanks. Shout out to Rosemary. I know she's the creative one, too. She'll be happy that we mentioned that.
Absolutely.
But here's some things that's happening for Family Literacy Day, and there's a website, folks, you can find out more. But let's talk about this, ideas and fun things for parents. I love this because my kids are older now, but I mean, it's hard sometimes, never mind with the pandemic, to just come up with things to do all the time. Here's a great list, right?
Yeah, they're just, there's some really good ones. One of the things that made me super excited to come back to Sarnia, these story walk ideas, I wanted those so badly in our community out west. And what it is, it's literally you walk and you read the story. And if you go to the Lambton County Library website, you'll see there's all kinds of them all around our community. So it's a good way to get outdoors, get some fresh air, get some exercise, and you can build your literacy muscle as you do it.
So, okay, sorry. So I actually go out and walk?
Yeah, you do. You go outside your house.
I've never heard of this.
We leave our homes and we go for a walk.
And then, but what do you mean? Tell the story, like.
So along the trail, you will read the storybook. So like scattered along the trail, you read a page of the book, and then you walk along, and then there's another page of the book, and at the end of the little route, you will have read a book.
Oh, so it tells you what route to take?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Where have I been, folks?
I know. It's so awesome. So like off the top of my head, I know right out by the Moortown Museum, there's one out that way, but there's about 5 or 6 of them, and they're all listed on the Lambton County Library site. So that one is phenomenal. I mean, geocaching is another thing, although I'm not a huge geocacher here myself, but I think there are some of those in the community that you can do. That's another kind of fun thing. And even creating your own, if you go to Pinterest, there's a million different do-it-yourself scavenger hunts that you can do around, Christmas lights, or, in the fall, you can look like acorns.
Pokemon still a thing? The Pokemon game?
Oh, Pokemon Go. Those were the best, hey? People getting hit by cars.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. I had my wife giving me directions, and I was like, "It doesn't even matter if you're driving it or I'm like, no, this not doing it." But this one, this is we're gonna check this one out. I've never heard of that. That's amazing. We got scavenger hunts and find a recipe to cook and bake together. Snuggle up and read books together. Let's talk a little bit. I've got to start wrapping up here, but. It really starts at home as far as at a young age, right? And having no replacement for the lap, so to speak.
Yes, and to that point, yeah, my little quote there, which it used to be children are grown readers in the laps of their parents, and then it kind of shifted to like modern day. There is no app to replace your lap, and what is interesting and something that maybe I didn't know when I had my first child is you should start reading to your newborns right from birth, which I mean, you think, oh, that might be a little odd, like they're not saying, come on, another page, but there is, every time that you read with a child, you're engaging with them, you're building those little, there's actual little brain pathways that you're building.
Creating habits.
And you're creating good habits. And one of the other things that you can do if you want your kids to grow up to be successful in school and good readers, model it in your home. See them, let them see you reading. And it doesn't have to be in a book. It could be reading on your Kindle. It could be reading in recipe books, wherever.
Yeah, I learned a friend of mine a long time ago said, I think sometimes you go, here, Tracy, here's 12 books. Go read those. I can't read 12 books, right? But he said to me, if the average book was, say, 300 pages,
mm-hmm.
and he said, read 10 pages of a book every day.
Mm-hmm.
10 pages, 30 days, that's 12 books in a year.
Absolutely.
So here's 10 pages a day I can do. 12 books in a year goes, whoa, right?
So if you think about that in kid terms, there's a really good program called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. You can Google it online. And the whole premise is that if you read just a couple of books a day to your kids, and it could be The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle 89 times over, it doesn't matter, it still counts. Right. You're going to read 1,000 books to your children before kindergarten. And that is a pretty impressive number.
It really is. We need to do more of it. And we need to have you back again to talk to us more about all of this. And thanks for coming on here today, Tracy, and sharing more information. And we'll remind everybody about Family Literacy Day coming up on January the 27th. I always like to give my guests one final opportunity. Anything else you want to add?
I think we just about covered it. I am admiring your Gordy pictures in the background,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he is, yes, and he's one of Canada's greatest poets. Great song lyrics that you can read.
Yeah.
So, little literacy plug in there.
Absolutely.
I know I've got my
not
like
wrong.
stuff back there.
Oh yeah, I like that picture. Boy, that's really good. That's a cool. You got a cool setup going on in there.
Yeah, well, it's a work in progress. It's the basement, but you know, we do what we do.
This is our office now, right, Tracy?
It is for now. Yeah.
That's right. Tracy, again, thank you so much for your time today. I'll look forward. Reach out, tell Rosemary that she's got to come on next time.
I sure will. And thank you for having us, David. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your week. Tracy Pound, General Manager from Literacy Lambton. And what some great ideas there about learning literacy. And it's not just about the reading, right? You know, there's the math. And if you want to get through your driver's test or some kind of guide, reach out to them. Just so you know, folks, that we're going to be posting all the links after the show on our Facebook page so you can connect with our guests and check them out and see if there's something that they're offering that could help you out as well. All right. Well, certainly mental health is a regular topic that happens likely on a daily basis, but coming up to create some re-awareness, if you will, is Bell Let's Talk Day on Thursday, January the 28th. But we're going to talk about some mental health right now. Alan Stevenson, he is the CEO for CMHA Lambton Kent. And you're also the Vice President of Mental Health and Addictions, sir, right?
Yeah, it's with Chatham Kent Health Alliance. That's correct.
Very good. Alan Stevenson, thanks so much for your time here today.
Thank you, Dave, for having me. It's a pleasure.
How are things in the Canadian mental health world? I mean, this pandemic, I think, has had the word interesting effect, I think, on mental health. Is that fair to say? Interesting,
indeed. You know, Dave, many people are talking about the shadow pandemic is the impact of the pandemic on the mental health and well-being of not just Canadians, but people all over the world. And we're certainly seeing it here in Canada and locally here in Sarnia, Lambton, where I am sitting today. We, our association, the Canadian Mental Health Association, has done some polling with Canadians, both in Ontario and across Canada, and startling results. Early on in April and May, what we were seeing was that 38% of Ontarians were reporting that their mental health had worsened since the beginning of the pandemic. And more recently, just in December, we found that number had increased to 44% of Canadians, looking at the mental health of Canadians across Canada.
That's a significant increase. And, I think I remember going back to the beginning of all of this and having some interviews with folks in our community that handle mental health issues. It was really kind of quiet in the very beginning because people didn't know if they could still reach out or the access. And then all of a sudden it got busy. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, we saw in beginning immediately in the month of March, we saw people hunkering down, trying to I guess we were all sort of thinking this is going to be a short-term thing and we just need to bear with it. Right. Remember when they said schools were going to close for 2 weeks initially? And that's what people were thinking. That was their frame of reference, right? But then as things began to open up in June, we saw, and when I say we, I'm not talking just about the Canadian Mental Health Association, but all of the mental health resources. We saw a sharp increase, well above anything we had ever seen before in terms of people seeking help. And that's continued. And just actually last week, I was meeting with some peers across sort of Windsor, Chatham, Sarnia, and in the second wave, it's different. There's been no decline in people seeking services, people needing help. It's a sharp increase, numbers that we've never ever seen before, and the the kinds of experiences people are having. There's people in deep distress and people with great concerns. So it's not just that we're seeing higher numbers of people. We're seeing a lot of people with who are very in need of help and with complex needs.
When you're talking about stress, so then obviously this is adding stress to the services that are available in the community, like with CMHA and places like St. Clair Child and Youth and the hospital. And are services being added, or is staff being increased to deal with the increased stress of the stress, so to speak?
Yeah, there's I think the funders, both the municipalities, the United Ways, the government of Ontario have all seen the need for increased services. And so, yes, there has been increased capacity to meet demand. And I think it's really, really important. Something, talking with my colleagues across the region and the province, we really want to get the message out there that there's services available, and for people who are in need, don't feel like you should wait to ask for help because of concern that there's not adequate services or capacity. We want people to reach out. We want them to know that we're here and we're going to make ourselves available.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the conversations and the importance of Bell Let's Talk Day, right, Alan? But you bring up a point there that as many of these conversations I've had, I always ask this question: are people afraid to ask for help?
Well, that's a good question, and in my lifetime, that's improved a lot, and especially thanks to folks like Bell and others who have modeled that it's okay to ask for help. We're seeing that change in the last decade, especially. The stigma of mental illness has really declined. I do a lot of work with young people as well, and it's heartwarming because unlike my generation, I'm in my 50s, in my generation, there was a sort of belief that mental health was not as important as physical health, and young people say no. That's not the case at all. Mental health is equally as important as physical health. So they're changing things. They're changing things, I think, for the better of all of us.
Yeah, well, again, the Bell Let's Talk Day is it needs to be talked about every day. I think we would all agree that mental health is ongoing, and I think you're right. I think we have gotten better at that. Just over, well, even in the last year with this pandemic, I've done a lot of interviews with a lot of different organizations, and it's becoming more common to say the words mental health, whereas I think even 5 years ago it was maybe hard to say just those words. Is it fair to say too that like the mental health world and your organizations are used to seeing a certain demographic, and now there's more people that you've never seen before using the services? Or is, like, I'm not educated in that area, but who is using this?
That's a good question. So we our primary focus is on adults over the age of 16, so adults and youth, and St. Clair Child and Youth in the Sarnia area is the lead provider for children's mental health. We work really closely together to try and ensure that our services are well coordinated and that nobody falls through the cracks. But we are seeing increases, to your question. We are seeing increases in every age group. Certainly amongst youth, that's been a significant increase and an area that we've been trying to improve our outreach to with the development and hopefully the launch in 2021 of Access Open Minds here in Sarnia. As well, though, right through all ages, right through to seniors. And we're very concerned about the mental well-being of seniors right now, as so many of them are more isolated than ever before.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody earlier, like, thank goodness, like, we have these things, right? We have actually online resources available and stuff. But then you talk about seniors, they don't necessarily have one of these in their hand like I do. So we're still trying to connect with them.
Yeah, and That's so critical to make that connection, irrespective of age, but certainly among seniors and others who are isolated or lonely. Loneliness is certainly a significant indicator of higher risk to your mental health.
Yeah, and so a lot of this, then, if we go to the seniors, relies or sort of falls into the lap of the healthcare provider for those seniors, whether that be a family member or a personal support worker, right?
Yes. Oftentimes that's I mean, I have to be honest, my mom is 90, and that responsibility to make those connections is with myself and my siblings, my wife. And so I think that's not an unusual experience. And I can tell you, in my case, we're making sure that we're reaching out every day. And I know that families are dealing with that everywhere. It's not a unique experience at all.
Yeah. Well, another one of the great services as well is Kids Help Phone, which has been around for some time now. And I was just talking to a friend earlier today about Kids Help Phone and how they've expanded actually into, it used to just be a 1-800 number. Now you can actually text and actually go online to kidshelpphone.ca and someone will chat, right?
Yeah, and I think that's, you mentioned, is government or are there adequate services? That's something that has been expanded along with a number of other things to provide more timely access, particularly off hours as Kids Help Phone is available.
Yeah.
Great service.
Yeah, no, fantastic service. I agree. There's and you know, one of the things I want to put out to the folks too is there's a lot of online services out there that are supported by, you know, your organization and other organizations that you collaborate with. Let's talk about hospitals for a minute, because I think that's obviously an immediate access for a lot of people. They think of that. That's where I'm going to go next. Is that being overwhelmed right now because of the pandemic and the mental health issues? And is there any that's maybe unnecessarily going to the hospital?
Well, one of the messages we definitely want to get out is it's actually better to ask for or to seek help before you get to the point of crisis where the hospital response is the appropriate one.
Yeah.
We would definitely, when I say we, I'm talking about the collaboration in the case of Chatham, where I also work, between CMHA and the Chatham Kent Health Alliance, but also here, we have tremendous collaboration in Sarnia Lambton with Blue Water Health. Yeah. We work very hard together to the greatest extent possible, because honestly, people don't want to be admitted to the hospital if there are other alternatives that can equally meet their needs. We work very closely with the hospital to try and, if somebody is presenting at Emerge but doesn't require that level of service, to link them really quickly into community-based services, and equally, and as a better response, honestly, to try and direct them into community services rather than going to the emergency department, to try and divert and take pressure off the hospital, as well as to, in the case where people are requiring hospital admission, to provide them and link them up with supports as prior to them being discharged, so that we're here and engaged already at the point of somebody returning home.
Right. Well, great points, Alan, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you here today, and we certainly welcome you back anytime to talk about what's happening. I always like to give my guests one final opportunity to add to anything before I let you go.
Thank you. Yeah, there is one thing, and that is, the evidence is really clear that many of us are struggling. Our mental well-being is not great right now as a result of COVID-19. And for people who had pre-existing mental health problems, it's even worse. So if you had a tendency to be depressed or anxious before, it's likely higher anxiety or worse depression now. The message that I would like to send to everybody is be kind to one another. Don't ask people to pretend that they're okay. have sincere conversations. It's okay. Many of us are just not okay right now. It's okay to not be okay. And the kindest thing you can do is to say, you don't have to pretend to be okay. I'm here to help. I'm here to listen. Thanks, Dave.
I think that's fantastic advice. Thanks for putting that out. Alan Stevenson, thanks again for joining. And thanks for what you do in our communities as well. We'll look forward to next time.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Alan Stevenson from Canadian Mental Health Association, Lambton Kent, with some great information. Couldn't have said it better. I think, Alan, final message there was very, very important. It's just a time, and I said it at the beginning of the show, even, how much time goes by where we don't talk to that someone we've known a long time, and then we go, well, maybe it's been too long. They wouldn't want to hear from me now. I think now more than ever is a time where people really want to hear from each other. And that simple hello. And when you say, how are you doing? I think how are you doing has a whole different meaning than it used to when we were out walking around. It used to be just something you had to say because you saw somebody. Now, be sincere about it when you say, how are you doing? Great points in there. All of my guests and their links we'll have posted on the Facebook page after the show here today. I want to say thank you to all of my guests. Matt Parker from the band KAAJE. We're going to be coming out with some music on February the 5th. Tracy Pound from Literacy Lambton. Some great things coming there. Literacy Lambton and going to be celebrating and creating the awareness for Family Literacy Day on January the 27th. And of course, Alan Stevenson just joining us there. And of course, don't forget, Bell Let's Talk Day is coming up on January the 28th this week. I will have some special interviews appearing on the show page on January the 28th for Bell Let's Talk Day as well. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, I have to say thanks to all of you. You give me a reason to come back here every week. I love seeing what's happening in our community and all the positive, and I believe in the greatness in the community, and I know that you do as well. So be kind to one another. I almost got it. I almost got through the whole show without stumbling. Last week I couldn't talk for nothing, but here we are once again, and I want to say thank you to my supporters, my ongoing supporters that help bring the show to all of you. Hearing Signs, SWO, and AG Event Graphics, our friends at Active Ears Hearing Center, where better hearing begins with you. Security specialists, Hughes Intelligence. Joe's Discount Tire. You got to get those winter tires on. The snow she's a coming. I just bought a snowblower, and we haven't had any snow yet, so I'm telling you it's coming because I bought a snowblower. Oswald's Diner. You can order from their menu at oswalds.com, and our friend Philly Cheese Jakes, and of course, all of you. That's all the time I got for you this week, everybody. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.